Hello everyone. Welcome to another Tuesday night Eventide stream from pleasantly gray and rainy Seattle. Cannot tell you all how happy I am that the cool rain has returned to us finally. We have had a couple weeks of heat and smoke, and those are pretty terrible combos for us here in the Pacific Northwest. It's not easy to deal with, and makes doing anything really hard because I like to do all of my work from my office, and my office gets cooked in those sorts of environments. So, happy to be able to kind of get back into my office, get focused on some work, and get some things done. Now, over the past few weeks, we've had, frankly, some challenges. We've talked about those. I've had one of my playtest groups kind of come undone. The other one's on a bit of a pause while we sort some things out, and as a result, it's just been tough. It's been tough for me to make progress on the adventure. But honestly, after a week, I'm starting to feel like maybe this simplifies things a bit. Maybe it helps me stay focused a bit. Having two groups has always been a bit of a challenge because it means I've got 2 game nights. And, I was running them every other week, and maybe this means that I can run the other game a little bit more often, which means I can make a bit more progress and get through things a little bit more quickly. So, I haven't really kind of figured that all out yet, but it does lead me down the road of making more progress on part 3 of Wolfran's Fate. So welcome everybody. Welcome to tonight's stream. I figured I would use this as a chance to be a little productive, get some work done, continue on this next part of the adventure. And I figured I'd bring you along for the ride. So that's what we're going to do here tonight is I'm going to work on this next part of the adventure, which involves me building some creature stat blocks. Always a good time, always a fun thing to explore. I'm going to walk you through the process here as I build out a creature and play around with what I need it to be. So that's where we're going to start. So to set the stage a bit, my players' part 3 of Wolfran's Fate involves a long journey between Wormbone and the town of Red Thistle. That is, you have to travel through like over half of the Gemwood, which is a very large wilderness. And throughout this, they face a variety of dangers from natural hazards and weirdos on the trail. But now we've gotten to a point where the story is calling for bandits. So this road isn't safe. It's patrolled quite regularly. And to reinforce that, what better than to have a bandit encounter? Now I'm going to mix this one up a bit. I'm going to give the PCs an NPC to help them. So in their journey, they're going to encounter a lone traveler who has already made camp. And almost seems untrusting of them. And this is because this lone traveler, in fact, is actually hunting bandits and is more than they appear. But to that end, I think I'm going to make this person they find on the trail a lycanthrope, possibly a werebear. I need to look at some levels here in just a bit. We're going to do some encounter math here first. And they assume that the PCs are the bandits that they're looking for that have been prowling this area. And when they find out that they're not, they instead decide to work with the PCs to take on these bandits when they do arrive later that evening. So we got kind of an interesting fight. We got a fight where the PCs are going to have an NPC assisting them. Which means I can include a bit more encounter budget. So that's where I'm at right now. So first of all, let me look up I don't think making it a werewolf's the right call, because obviously they are evil. But a werebear makes perfect sense. Werebear is level 4. So if they are a werebear, that kind of makes good sense. They can turn into a bear and help in the fight. So they are pretty strong. They're level 4. The PCs are only level 3. So that means I'm basically adding a slightly higher level character to the group. I'm also giving them another person to fight. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to assume that the party can handle some extra combat budget. So if I want this to be a pretty tough fight, looking at the encounter chart, normally I would get, you know, if I wanted it to make it a tough fight, I could make it 120 XP. If I make it 120 XP, that would be a severe, but with this character, it probably isn't. So maybe that's the way to approach it, is that it's the XP budget for this is 120. And I treat the character's level as normal. So their level is 3. Now, I want them to fight some bandits. That means there'll probably be a bunch of generic stat blocks and then one leader type who is tougher. I think that's a more engaging fight than just 4 characters that are exactly the same. So the first place I'm going to do, the first thing I'm going to look at here is try and figure out what levels everything needs to be. So if I want the, if I have 120 XP, if I want the boss to be tough, the boss needs to be maybe 4th level, right? That would be 60 XP. That would be half my budget. And then I've got, you know, 60 XP for lackeys. Now, I can do lackeys one of a bunch of ways. I could just do 2 lackeys at level 2. I could do 3 lackeys at level 1. Or I could do 4 lackeys at level 0. I think 4 lackeys at level 0 isn't good enough. I think those are too paper thin. So I'm thinking 3 lackeys at level 1. So let's say that's where I'm starting. Now, let me go ahead and bring this up. What I got here is I've just got, where'd it go? I've just got a blank stat block here. This is just a blank. Let me go ahead and move my camera slightly. And move me over a hair. That way it's not... We're sharing space a little better. Okay, so there I've just got a blank stat block. Now the first thing I'm going to want to do is take a look at the NPCs. And I kind of already did this just so that I'd have it set up. And the first thing I did was take a look at the base bandit. Now this is the one from the Game Mastery Guide. This is a level 2 bandit. So, bunch of skills. It's got an ambush ability that if it rolls initiative using deception or stealth, they can demoralize as a free action. They got a hatchet and a sling. They've got a thing where frightened creatures are flat-footed to them, and they ignore some terrain. Now, these are even designed to be forest bandits, which is nice. So I like a lot of what I'm seeing here, but it's not quite what I want. First of all, you know, Dread Striker really isn't doing too much unless I'm, you know, getting the bandit ambush, and even then that's really only going to last around. So this bandit's a little bit of a one-trick pony. Doesn't really have too much going on for it. It pretty much is just a monster that's going to fight you. You're just gonna attack you. So let's start by first of all figuring out some. So I'm just going to call this. Well, we don't want to call it bandit. We already get a bandit. So let's see. Find a different name. Raider, maybe? Forager? Pillager? Brigand? Could be a brigand. Brigand always sounds like more of a boat term. Outlaw. Hold up person. I'm just looking at the list of thesaurus words for bandit. Outlaw, outcast, robber, criminal. A hood. So, I don't know. Let's go ahead and... let's go with something simple here to start. We're just going to call it a brigand to begin with. We could have called it a highwayman. Trail brigand. We're not going to worry about the description or anything right now. So, the key here is we're shooting for level 1. Okay, so, we got that. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do when building a monster, you're going to want this. You can also use the guides that are online, it's fine. But you're going to want to turn to page, I think it's 50, 55, 56. Yep, building creatures, starting on page 56. And I, frankly, so these guidelines are the ones that we wrote to build the monsters in the bestiary. And we literally wrote it just as the step-by-step instructions of how we do it. So when it came time to make this book, we pretty much just printed them. We didn't really do anything special. There's some tips and tricks that are beyond kind of what is obviously visible. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to go ahead. Let me go ahead and get a card in here just so I don't lose my place. And first thing you're going to do is type your traits. We're going to go ahead and call these guys neutral evil for the moment. Medium humanoid. Or we'll just call him human for now. Okay, so step 1 is complete. Next thing we're going to do is look at the ability scale for a level 1. Probably between +1 and +4, just like a player character. So let's go ahead and hop down here. Now we got brigands down, we got the bandit down here, and it's 331021. So, you know, it frankly probably doesn't need to be better or worse than that. We could make this a 3. Or maybe even a 2. Maybe it's more of a dex robber. What else? It went 1021. All right. I'm going to go ahead and give him a 2 here, just because he's required to be out in the wilderness. These numbers, the stats don't matter over much, right? I think when you build the abilities modifiers for a monster, the main use for them is kind of serving as a guide for how the rest of it comes together. So if it has a really low dex, it shouldn't have a really high ranged attack, right? That just doesn't make sense. So, you know, I kind of use these as signposts, right? It's perhaps a bit more of a ranged character than it is a melee character. At least for now. We'll see how it goes. Okay. So we did ability scores after ability scores. If we're making our way through the good old GMG here, we next hit perception. And perception for a creature like this is going to range anywhere from 2 to 10. So we can kind of make it whatever we want. We want it to be, you know, a vaguely perceptive creature. I generally like to do some basic math and be like, okay, what's wisdom is 1. It's a level 1 creature. It needs at least a 2. So its minimum is 4. Maximum will be like 6 or 8. I think 6 makes the most sense here. And looking at the chart, that puts it a little bit below moderate, but that's probably fine. It's a brigand. They're not going to pick up on much. And we already decided this is a human, so it doesn't have any special senses. Now, when it comes to skills, I'm going to go ahead and look at the book again. And the range on its skills are anywhere from 10 at the very highest to 3-ish, with most being 6 or 7 or something like that. So, let's take it from there. What do we got down here on the brigand? Obviously, it has athletics, deception, forest lore, intimidation, stealth. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to copy this. I like the list. Not sure I'm going to keep all of it, but I like it. And we're going to go in here and we'll just paste to Keep text only. There we are. Okay, so these are probably not far off. I'm going to go ahead and customize this a bit. I'm going to say this is Gemwood lore. I'm going to change this to acrobatics. I'm going to get acrobatics and athletics. Give that an XX for now. None of these, I might not keep any of these numbers. We'll keep the intimidation, we'll keep the stealth. Do we want this guy to be intimidating? Is he about bullying people? I don't know. Not sure on that yet. Not sold. Survival seems really important, especially if they're going to be out in the wilderness. And thievery is obviously a must. So it does feel a little odd to me that this character has more skills than the level 2 version. So let me consider that here for just a sec. Well, maybe acrobatics isn't necessary. Always a question. Now let's keep it for now. Again, I like to do kind of what would the minimum number be for a level 1 creature? A level 1 creature in acrobatics here would be 4, 5, 6. So that is what it would need to be. Athletics here would only be a +5 because it's strength-based. Deception could be as low as a 4. Gemwood lore could be as low as a 3. Intimidation could be as low as a 4. Stealth could be as low as a 6. Survival could be as low as a 4. And thievery could be as low as a 6. Now, I could also decide that this character is maybe a little bit better than these. Remember, they don't have to follow the same guidelines that the PCs follow. So if I wanted to, its intimidation could be higher, its deception could be higher. I think of all the things that are here, I think its survival maybe should be higher. But it's not going to use that much. And I don't know that I'm going to be giving it much in the way of abilities that are based on intimidation or deception. But there are worse things to do. So let me do this, and I'm gonna get rid of intimidation. This guy isn't about bullying. He's about deceiving you and robbing you. Okay. So we're gonna go with that. Okay. So there we go. That's my base skill loadout. I think we'll leave that there for now. The Gemwood lore is particularly terrible, but you know, that's fine for now. We don't have to worry about items. I'm skipping some things like languages and stuff like that for right now. Now we're up to armor class and saving throw. So armor class, you know, according to chart, is somewhere between 13 and 19. Again, I like to make sure that characters that are analogous to PCs in some way, shape, or form feel that way. So in this case, if this guy is wearing, you know, I could decide that this character is actually, you know, wearing items. So if I were going to do that, I would come down here and go items, you know, leather armor, short bow with 20 arrows. And let's go with a short bow and a short sword. Sure. I don't hear you. Might as well format it right. Okay. Speaking of which, don't get me into styles. That way lies complications. Okay. A lot of those styles are specifically designed so that when we import into InDesign, the setup pops immediately. We don't have to go in and reformat it. Okay. So that's why some of these are purple. The purple ones mean that there'll be a line underneath it when it pops into InDesign. Now you know. At least in my layout. Paizo does things a little differently, but that's fine. Okay, so we've got leather armor here. Leather armor is going to only give me a +1 to AC. I've got a dex And I've got my level, and I've got basic training. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This character would have a minimum AC of 17. How does that comport to the level 2 bandit here? Level 2 bandit has a 19. Okay, so not too bad. Not too bad. We're at about the same range here. Armor class of 17 for a level 1 creature is a little high, but that's okay. That's okay. Saving throws for level 1 are going to be between 4 and 10. Again, even though it doesn't follow player rules, I like to make sure that it at least makes some amount of sense. So I like to figure out what my minimums are. So in this case, its minimums would be 3 plus appropriate stat. So here it would be, minimum would be plus 5, plus 6, plus 4. Now, looking at my table, and this is table 2-6, 4 to 10, with moderate being 7. So I don't even have any moderates. So we definitely want to bump reflex. I think actually we want to bump reflex and fort up. You can have a bad will. Right? Well, yeah, if you're rolling 2s, I mean, that's going to be bad no matter what you do. All right, so we got that. Let's take a look at hit points here. Hit point range for this character is around 20, probably, roughly. But its AC is a little high, so if it's a little lower than that, that's fine. So here's where I'm at. If I were to assume this was a human rogue, it would have 16, 18 hit points. So, you know what I'm going to do? It has 18 hit points. That's it. Now, is it going to have any of this stuff? I'm going to say no. It doesn't have any immunities or resistances or anything like that. Does it have any defensive abilities? I think it probably should. It should have some sort of roguey, bandity defensive ability. Let's see. I could just literally give it the rogue ability to ambush people. The question is, am I building basically a rogue here, or am I building some sort of thief? That's the question of the day. I'm going to go take a look at... I want to look at rogue rackets and see whether or not... We took out intimidation. So that okay. Kind of playing around here. What direction do I want to take this? So if I'm going to have, what did I say, 3 of them? They should probably have an ability that synergizes well with each other. And they're used to ambushing people in the woods. All right, so let's see here. If I... Sorry, just doing a thing here real quick. Wink. Okay. The what I just did is I used the Pathfinder icons font, which uses ligatures to turn a specific code phrase into the symbol that we want for the actions. It's a font I created. It's the only font I've ever created. So let me check a thing here real quick. So what I'm doing is I'm giving it an ability that allows it to dive into a bush. So the brigand is targeted by an attack and is adjacent to a plant large enough for the brigand to hide inside. The brigand gains concealment against the attack. After this attack, the brigand is prone. So there we go. The brigand can now dive inside a nearby plant. All right, I like that ability. It's ridiculous, but I like it. So next up, let's go ahead and put in our speed. Pretty straightforward here. For attacks, we know we have a short sword and a short bow. Again, I'm going to just go ahead and figure out what my minimums are going to be on this. And that's going to be a plus 6 on both. Now, if I get back to my book and get over to attacks, level 1, a 6 is very low. I think I'm going to have to bump both of these up to 8. And that puts them nice and solidly right around moderate. Now, damage for characters like this is usually about a d6 plus 2, which conveniently here I'm going to be very close to. So let me go ahead and look up. I always like to pull up all my stats and just make sure I'm doing everything right. So here we've got agile, finesse, and versatile S. Right? Yeah. And the damage is going to be, I suppose this is, yeah, or S. Damage here is going to be 1d6 plus 2. And that is going to be piercing. And then for the short bow, we are looking at deadly D10, range 60 feet, and that is just going to do D6 piercing. Okay, so the damage for this is right around on target. You know, for a level 1 creature, d6 plus 2, or d6 is just about right. But we want to give it something a little special. We're going to go ahead and give it Backstabbing Crew. So, what I'm basing this off of is the Backstabber trait. Let me go ahead and look that up. Backstabber trait says when you hit a flat-footed creature, this weapon deals 1 precision damage in addition to its normal damage. I think we can leave it at that. It doesn't have a weapon with the Backstabber trait, so it's probably not a big deal if it just keeps it. So this is one of those areas where I could future-proof it. I could put something in that says, oh, this doesn't stack with Backstabbing, but it doesn't matter because I haven't given it anything like that. So there we go. That, I mean, honestly, that's it, right? I don't need to do anything else to this. This isn't necessarily 100% finished. And what I want to do, you know, next is frankly take this, copy it, and create the leader from it. So and this one's going to be a 4. And that's going to change a whole ton of stuff, right? So we can go through and basically, you know, jump this. I mean, the great part is once you've got this once, doing it a second time is pretty simple. So, let's see. From 1 to 4, my maximum ability goes up to 5. So I could easily go, you know, 5, 3... 4, 1, 3, 3. You can keep all the same skills, but if I go back up here right now, my minimum is going to be 7, 8, 9. You know, I can easily get to 11 or so. And again, going back to the book, level 4. Moderate is 11, so that's probably fine. Skills at 4 go up to about 12-ish in there. So the minimum here is now going to be 7 plus 9. No, sorry, this is Dex. 9, 10, 11. We're going to go ahead and get this up to 13. This can go 9. This can go 7, 9. Probably take that up to 11. 5. Put that up at 9. Here I'm giving some bigger skill bumps just because I think it's warranted. 9, 11, 13. 8, 10, 12. And 4 plus 5, 9. Yeah, we'll go 11 there. Okay. This is assuming I don't change any of this other stuff. This, at a minimum, is going to go up to 20. Oh, sorry, yeah, 22. But for a level 4 monster... 22 is actually pretty good. It's about where I want it to be. And then saves... 8, 10, 12, 14, and we can keep this down at a much more reasonable 9. So hit points is where it does get a little wonky. I do like to kind of still play the game of what if it was just a rogue. So 8 for being human, and then 4 levels of rogue, which would be 12 each. So 48 plus 8 would be 56. If I look on the chart here, 56 is just a hair below where we want it to be. So yeah, you know, let's keep it 56 for now. We can keep that ability. We can change this to a, you know, +1 short sword. I mean, I think... Boy, that might even want to be a striking short sword, wouldn't it? So, that's going to take the attack bonus way up. 1 or 4, 5, 10... probably about a +14. Is that good for a level 4 creature? Feels like a lot. Bet you it's probably close to right, though. Yep. Almost exactly right. And then it's going to be 2d6 plus 3. And that would be at the minimum. We probably want that to be a little bit more. 2d6 plus... And we can go ahead and make that 5. The short bow here can be a +12. Or we could do a 13. Because it's not magic. But I'll think about that. That feels too low. And then if I wanted to here, I could also just go ahead and straight out just give this character sneak attack, you know, 1d6, right? That's almost done. I just realized that you can't see any of that because I've been typing below the fold. Sorry about that. But yeah, there you go. So, I don't know that these are done, but I feel like that's good progress. I'm going to make sure I save. Let me do that. Always important. So, yeah, there we go. We're halfway there. I don't think I'm done yet. I feel like these are close. I probably want to do something with the brigand leader to give him some way to either inspire or terrify his troops. So he should have like some ability called, you know, and maybe that does mean he needs to get Intimidate back. And, you know, 4, 7, probably go up to 11. So he might have an ability where he can attempt to intimidate his own, and I'm just going to put a note here. Intimidate his own brigands to give them a bonus. Yeah, so it might work like Intimidate, but instead of giving them a penalty, it gives them a bonus if he succeeds, right? That'd be kind of fun. That's a different way of doing it. So, yeah, like a bard, but in reverse, and a monster, right? So that's one of the things that you always want to pay attention to when you're building creatures. You don't have to follow the guidelines of, you know, existing characters, existing class forms. But you can borrow from them heavily. These are clearly kind of roguey type characters. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I built them kind of using some of those assumptions. But at the end of the day, I can diverge and do whatever I want to do to make them serve their purpose in my story. In this case, it's to get beaten up and die. But, you know, it can still be fun. So, that's where we're at. I don't think there's much else I need to do here. Obviously, they don't have spells. I could give the Brigand Leader some spells. But I don't know that I necessarily need to. This fight has enough going on with it, with Brigands running around and their friend going a bit wild on them. So it may be the sort of thing where I don't even need that. Because, you know, these level 1 Brigands are going to be hit pretty easily. They're going to go down pretty easy. I'm hoping the dive into foliage gives me the opportunity to save them now and again using concealment checks. But they're going to go down pretty easily. The Brigand Leader has some staying power, but not a lot, especially not by himself. So this may be a tough fight. It may not be that tough of a fight at all. It may be the sort of thing where I go and add, you know, another just ordinary Trail Brigand just to spice it up, just to take it above the 120, because I am giving them another character that's very powerful to play with. So, I don't know. I'm going to continue to noodle on it. See where it takes me. As far as other updates, for those of you who have been on the Patreon here, you'll notice that I dropped the Gloamling to all of you on, was that Friday? I dropped it on Friday. If you missed it, go check your messages. The Gloamling is in there. Nice, easy, convenient to use PDF, ready for use at your table. The Penumbrist will be joining it in that kind of setup here soon. I'm still kind of noodling with some of the last bits and abilities of that before I throw it in the layout. I expect the layout to be relatively simple. The table will be a pain in the ass, but other than that, the rest of it should be pretty simple. So I'm hoping to get the Penumbrist out to you. That will be a much bigger PDF. The Penumbrist is, you know, closer to a dozen pages. When it's all said and done, the Gloamling was, you know, 6, and that was with some padded front and back matter. So not too much there. No playtest games this week. The fallout from losing my other group is still kind of shaking out. I expect to get back to playtesting next week, which is why I wanted to work on this and have it ready to go. The next thing I'm going to need to do is build a map or two, but that shouldn't be all that hard. Yeah, so that's where we're at right now. This stuff is still moving forward. I have yet to be able to wrap up, again, part 2 of Wolfram's Fate is still waiting for me to spend 2 or 3 days worth of work on it. I've got one other project in front of it that I need to clear deck, and then that becomes my primary focus here in the very near future. And I'm hoping to get that out to my editor in the next few weeks. But I need to get this other thing done first. I have one last batch of Hope Finder books I need to get out, and I have to finish them because they're late. So those are eating up all my time right now, unfortunately. So this is kind of waiting for me to get done with that. What else? That's about it. We are about to hit the month of September. I'm probably going to continue carrying on throughout the month of September. The month of October might be really hairy for me. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I might end up having to kind of take a pause for a little bit while some things shake out. Just around the house and stuff. So nothing serious. No need to worry. It's just something that may take all of my attention for several weeks. So what classes do I have left in the group that remains? I have a Penumbrist. I have a Rogue. I have a Bard. I have a Alchemist. Penumbrist, Bard, Rogue, Alchemist. Oh, and a Barbarian. Yeah, of course, the Barbarian. Can't forget the Barbarian. So it's a pretty balanced party, and they're pretty good at meeting pretty regularly. So I'm not too worried about this other group coming apart. It's more just my time right now that's been a bit of a challenge. So, all right, folks. I think that's all I have for everybody here today. I hope you found this creature creation bit here enjoyable. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. That way I don't lose it. Where's my webcam? Let me go ahead and move myself back to center. Here I am. So yeah, we've kind of made it through some of the rockiest parts here. I'm hoping things smooth out. We'll see how the next few months go. Things are still busy and very hectic. But frankly, I'm pretty excited for where this is going, and I'm really excited to get more of it to all of you. I'm happy to get bits and pieces out. Even if it isn't everything, I still want to get out bits and pieces. Because forward progress is always good, is always useful. So, that's what I got here tonight, folks. I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you for your continued support. I'm going to make all of this come together here in the coming months. I can't wait to get part 2 out to everybody once I get it through process. It's going to take a bit. The art is done and sitting. That's always frustrating. But it's been paid for, so that's good. That's what I got here tonight, folks. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your continued support. I will be back next Tuesday to chat more about this game, to chat more about where we're going and where we're heading, and what progress I've made. Thank you for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.